Now for the show that's truly too hot to handle. It's The Melting Pat, and it starts right now.
You're listening to The Melting Pat. Here's your host, Pat Johnson.
Well, thank you, Jerome. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the show, The Melting Pat, the Next Level Network. How are you? Today's a day. You know, it's actually Monday. The cool thing about doing such an open-ended show is that none of my topics have to be necessarily timely. I can just be like, I read this the other day, and it could have been weeks ago, and it doesn't really matter. So the benefit of that is, the drawback is, it's really hard to promote this show and tell people what it's about and get people to come to a live show and, get more people to listen, which has never really been my goal anyway. But the benefit is I can write an entire show in a few minutes and get it done as quickly as possible and not have to worry about, what's going on with the news or anything like that. Sometimes I do that, but I generally don't. And that is today's show. I wrote it. I got this kind of completely done by last Thursday. And so I was like, all right, let's record this as soon as we can. We'll see if we can record the Thanksgiving one this week too, just to get ahead of that. We'll see. I don't know. I did write most of that, so we're good. No question for the Thanksgiving show, because the timing, I got to record it on Tuesday, by Tuesday of that week, and then it just wasn't going to work. So there's this song that ends with, and I think it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't remember. But for years, I'll get to the show. We'll get to the show in a second. For years, I thought this was the DJ making that noise. I didn't know until I was 25 that the song ended with the actual song was, I didn't know. For some reason, I thought it was the DJ making that noise. I'm going to look it up. You know what? If I can find the end of the song, I'm going to put it right here. And if not, then someone will have to just let me know what I'm talking about, because I don't love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but some of you might. And so you might know what I'm talking about. The end of the song goes, and I swear to Christ, for years I thought that was the DJ making that noise. I don't know why. That's so dumb. Why would that happen every time the song played? That's so dumb. Why did I think that? Why, as a teenager, why did I think that? Or as someone in his early 20s also. Why did I think that? I don't know either. I don't know. But today on the show, man, Pat, you going to get to it? Yeah, I am. We got music from our friend Crimmins, Chris Crimmins. We will play that momentarily. I found a gross 1-star review, a product review from my former local GameStop store. So I will read that to you as well. We'll talk about scalpers getting hosed, which I love. I'm really excited that PS5 Pro scalpers are in a bind, and it's funny. And there's also a new N64 console on the way next year. We will talk about that. We should hear from the captain about the Flyers. And then we got some fan mail about some kind of serious stuff. And it started with, Pat, please read this at the end of the show. So I'll do that. And that's going to be the show for today. First thing, though, our friend Crimmins, we have a new song from him. And by new, I mean this came out several months ago. And you know what happens? I think I've talked about this before, is when someone has a new song, a friend of the show has a new song, and Chris has been on the show. And I do want to get him back, but now I have no time to do interviews. But when a friend of the show has a new song, I go into my little notepad on my phone and I write, it's in the show topics note, and I just write the band name down. And whenever I get to it, I get to it. Whatever comes up, if somebody sends me something, that I put that in, and I just kind of push things to the side. And so finally, our friend Crimmins, he's got a new song, and I'm excited because Chris is a good guy, and this is a good song. There you go. He's got a fancy link tree, so I'll share that link in the show notes to find more from him. CRIMMINS music on social media. This is his latest, I think. Anyway, it's the latest one that I found. Here we go. Crimmins, Out of Sight. Thank you, my friend. It's the Melting Pat. We're coming right back.
I know the whole thing's over when she gets home. I know she's not happy when she's alone. Because she don't like that. No, she don't like that. She says she don't like that. Then we go right back. I'm a machine that's running way too high. And she's steaming hot like a coal for fire. You know I don't like that. No, I don't like that. She know I don't like that. No, I don't. Driving on the street. gets old, 'cause she can hear me laughing through the phone. She says she don't like that, no she don't like that. But if she don't like that, why we do this every time? Why you still blow up my line? Why you lie and say that you're fine when you're not? Yeah, I know it's a lot, but I can't read your mind. Driving on the street lights, drive me out of my mind. Running out of last tries, running out of ways to forget you. Look at me with blue eyes, I'm a lot of goodbyes. Driving till you're out of sight. Driving till you're out of sight. Driving till you're out of sight, till you're out of mind. Driving till you're out of sight, yeah, you're out of mind. Don't like that, no she don't like that. No she don't like that, no she don't. Driving on the street lights, drive me out of my mind. Running out of last tries, running out of ways to forget you. Look at me with blue eyes, I'm a lot of goodbyes. Driving till you're out of sight. Driving till you're out of sight. Driving till you're out of sight. Driving till you're out of sight.
There you have it, our dear friend Crimmins with his latest Out of Sight, The Melting Pat, the Next Level Network. Chris, you went too high with that. That's it's too high for me, man. I tried. I went for it, right? You know, a few weeks ago, probably wouldn't have tried that. And now I decided, yeah, you know what? That might be fun. That might actually be fun. And it was. Crimmins Music on social media. CRIMMINS Music. There you go. Follow him. Tell him Pat said hello. And he will be excited because he actually knows who I am. We're buddies. We became buddies. He was on the show a couple years ago. And I think I joked the last time I played a song of his that it was a way to coax him to come back on the show and promote his solo stuff. And then I no longer have time right now to do interviews. But Chris, if we can make it work, I'd love to have you back. All right, there we go. Break time, kind of, sort of. Yeah, a little bit. We're going to take a little quick time out here. And then we will talk about, I'll read you a gross one-star review, unrelated to anything, of course, that except that I thought of it the other day and decided to look it up. So I will tell you about someone had a bad experience some months ago at my former local GameStop store, and I want to tell you all about it next. Okay, we're back. And just to let you know, before we do this, again, it's a gross one-star review from my former local, the GameStop that's in my hometown. I think it's still open. But I saw it. I was like, oh, let me look up some one-star reviews. And first I started with the stores where I worked. And a couple of them, I'm like, yeah, that tracks. But nothing like funny enough or fun enough to read on the show. And my current job, I don't want to give away what I do. Even though I think I sort of have. But I don't want to talk about that specifically. So we'll leave those to the side. So I said, oh, let's look at some locations where I used to live, some stores. And I found on my former local GameStop, it's gross. So if you're squeamish and you don't like hearing about bugs, skip ahead to the part where I talk about scalpers getting screwed because they bought up the market that dried up. So there you go. All right, so now's your chance. Skip ahead. For everybody else, is it bad that I'm hungry when I'm about to talk about this? All right, so this person a few months ago said, if I could give 0 stars, I really would. I was hesitant about getting a pre-owned console, but I did. I opened it, and hundreds of bed bugs came crawling out. I did not have time to take a photo because I had to close and tape it back up immediately, but it was absolutely disgusting. There's no way there's no way they could not have known about this many bugs if they actually inspected the devices. There were bed bugs of all kinds and sizes, So there was no way they all just hatched. There were baby bugs and full-grown ones. It was the worst experience ever, and I'm going tomorrow to get my money back. I love this. Well, I hate it for the person. I love it because it's a story for the show. But I hate it because, A, bed bugs are disgusting. And, they definitely should have figured that out. But everyone I know who has worked for the company, who's worked for GameStop, and I know that I don't usually do, I usually censor the company names, but this was too funny to leave, that I just got to leave it there. Everyone I know who's worked for them has said it's been awful. And people I know who worked at that location specifically also said that it was awful. But yeah, corporate does not care one bit about the quality of their product, obviously. It's like, get those credit cards or rewards things or whatever and forget about everything else. Don't worry about everything else. Just go, do whatever it is and just be, I don't know, man. Also the trade-in values, and that's a corporate level thing, but still the trade-in values are insanely low. And so I wonder who has that that console now, who has that bed bugged. Why did I write it that way? I just wrote this quite why did I think I'd be able to say that properly? Who has that bed bugged console right now? Like, what happened to it? So the box was, okay, so they were buying, and I bought a pre-owned PS3 from GameStop a few years ago, and it worked fine. I didn't have anything gross in it. It had some bonus games on it that I didn't own, and so I got to play GTA 5 for a little bit. No insects in my PS3 that I got. Hard drive's starting to go, though, so I got to figure out what to do about that, if anything. Only issue is that it's also my Blu-ray player, so might have to fix that. But anyway, yeah, so clearly when it was returned, like when the console traded in, I guess, let's assume that it's a PS3 and they traded in for like a PS4 or PS5 or whatever, right? So they traded in, the box is taped up. Oh, is everything in there? Yeah, it's all in there. Control, wires, console, maybe a controller, whatever. And nobody at the store opened it. They just said, okay, they wrote it down in their little log, or however it works, and they just put it on the shelf. And so somebody comes in, bought it, and thought, okay, why would there be the worst thing that you should have with a pre-owned console is there's some dust, right? Or somebody forgot to wipe the hard drive and you still got some stuff on there. But that could turn out well if they got some games on there, right? So that's the worst thing. They a little bit of dust, right? That's the worst thing you should have. Or something got on, somebody put a sticker on there and that's still on there, right? Stuff like that should be the worst that you should experience with a pre-owned console, not a box full of bed bugs. That's not a thing you should have to deal with, right? That's not, I don't know, man. So I wonder, who has it now? So they return it, the person trading it in, returning it, whatever. And it has bed bugs. And I assume that the person knew that it had bed bugs and just, that's the diabolical part, is not so much that GameStop didn't check, although that's not good either. But the person returning it, you had to know, right? There's no way you don't know that you got that. Unless did they open it at the store and then somebody brought bed bugs in from wherever, right? Because they can come from anywhere. They opened it to inspect it. They turned it on, whatever, it was fine. And then somewhere between plugging it in, turning it on, and then putting it back in the box to put it on the shelf, somewhere in between there is where the bed bugs came in. And then what, right? You're probably not thinking, oh, we got to clear out all the consoles, everything that you touched. You're like, oh no, we got to, steam clean the carpet and shut the store down for a few hours and spray, right? That's the thing. But now I went if the person returned it with bed bugs, maybe they did. Why would they not know? How would they not know that they had bed bugs inside their console? When you're packing it up, how would you not know? That part's got me. I don't know. Or maybe they came in at the store level. Maybe they did open the box to turn it on and test it and do all that. And then the bed bugs hatched in there in between the time they tested it and this person bought it and brought it home. Right? Is that a thing that could happen? I don't know a ton about bed bugs. I didn't know bed bugs hung out in electronics also. I figured it was mostly fabric and things like that. That's why you shouldn't put your luggage on your hotel bed. I didn't know they could hang out in electronics. I didn't know. I do know that I read about a lot of things. That's why I know this. That the most common remedy for bed bugs is heat. So you dry everything at high heat, and that gets rid of them. But you can't really do that with a console. You know, if you heat a console, you're going to melt it. You're going to ruin it. So how do you even get them out of there? Man, how did they get in there? Like, who brought them to the dance? And then how do you get them out of there? How do you kick them out? What do you do? What do you do? What do you think GameStop did also when they got it back? Like, somebody comes in. Oh, my God. Imagine being that poor person at the counter. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I bought this console. I don't know why I'm assuming it's a PS3. Just this first console my brain went to. Somebody brings that in and says, hey, do you think that the GameStop employee made them open the box? So like, hey, I bought this console here the other day or yesterday, and I opened it up and it's full of bed bugs and I want to return it. I want my money back. So like the GameStop person would have to get proof of that, right? Like you can't issue the refund if you don't have proof. Can you? Somebody who works at GameStop or used to work at GameStop, let me know about about returns. So like who had to open the box? Did the person who bought it have to open the box at the counter and say, look at this, and then the bed bugs get all over the store again? Or did somebody, okay, sure, we'll take it, whatever. And then they open it in the stock room and the bed bugs get all over the store again in the stock room? Then what do you do? Did they like dump it out and tape the box back up and say, all right, back on the shelf, mark it down $10 or whatever? Like what happened? What happened? How did this happen? How did this happen? How do you, there are so many levels where this is wrong. So many people are wrong here. If you returned it and it had, like, because it had bed bugs, that's gross and that's not good. And then if the GameStop people noticed it had bed bugs, then if they noticed it had bed bugs, still put it on the shelf. Oh, it's fine. They'll die in there because they don't know how bed bugs work. I mean, I didn't either, but you do some research and you figure it out. But and then like, oh, if they came from somebody in the GameStop stock room, because again, they don't discriminate bed bugs. They just kind of show up. I'm saying bed bugs a lot. So many people were wrong here. And then this poor person who bought the console, bringing up like, hey, let's play some whatever. And you open it up and it's just infested. And it's just gross. Like wow. Oh my God. See, because then the person who bought it then has to completely clean everything in their house. Because you never know, like, you open it and tape it up real quick, but you don't know, because bed bugs aren't that big, right? Right? They're tiny, right? So you don't know how fast one of them could have jumped onto your shirt, pants, your socks, whatever, and gotten onto your furniture too. So then you have to take off every fabric thing in your house and wash it and dry it in hot heat. That was a band 20 years ago, right? Like, then you have to do that because some jerk gave you a console with bed bugs in it. That's so gross. Oh my God. Oh, that's so gross. But also, knowing what I know about GameStop corporate and talking to people who used to work there, that tracks. Like, they definitely would just take a console back, not check it. And, like, people don't clean their stuff, right? There are a lot of people who don't clean their stuff. So that's an issue too. But oh my God. It tracks that GameStop would not check that and would not do anything about it. And then I would bet that they just dumped out the box, the console, taped it back up, and shoved it back on the floor. I would bet that happened. Or they damaged it out, somebody smashed it or incinerated it or whatever. Why do I think GameStop has an incinerator? I don't know. I've actually never been in a GameStop stock room, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, bed bugs inside your console. And like, how do you get rid of those? What do you do? I don't know. Is there an exterminator listening who could tell me or tell this person how to then get rid of all the bed bugs in their home that were brought in by GameStop? Oh my gosh. That is horrifying, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that. But that is our 1-star review. If you have a 1-star review for any product or business or anything like that, please let me know. themeltingpat.com. Share it with me. I love reading bad reviews, and I would love to read yours. Okay? All right. I know we did fake 1-star reviews, but we had a real one, and I'd like some real ones if you got them. Okay? All right. That was gross. Let's take a break. We will come back, and we'll talk about PS5 Pro scalpers getting screwed because nobody bought the PS5 Pro. Let's do that next. Okay, the gross part's over. You can come back now. If you're squeamish, now you're back. So we got some gaming news we were going to do last week, and then, things got in the way. So we pushed it to this week. That's okay. So PS5 Pro, which is a new console that was just released by Sony. The scalpers, of course, bought it up, and it turns out they have more supply than demand because the console is still available in stores. I love it. So scalpers are now. So what happens is, if you don't know, is that people will buy the new consoles and then sell them for a markup. So a $700 console will sell for, $1,000 or whatever, and they make some money. And it's a scumbag move, and I hate it. Just let people buy the things and enjoy them and stop being jerks. And I love when these people are now out of money. So this is great. They're not out of money, but they now can't charge their ridiculous markup because the store still has it. So you don't have to go to eBay to buy one because you can just go to the store. Hopefully it doesn't have any bed bugs. Sorry. But also, if you already have a PS5, were you really upgrading to the PS5 Pro? It's 1 terabyte more of storage and upgraded graphics, an upgraded graphics processor, right? So the games look smoother or whatever. So unless you're really unhappy with your current PS5 performance, you're probably going to stick with it, right? And if you didn't already have one, then you could just go to the store because it's still there. And I don't know if the OG version is still widely available. I know that was an issue when it first came out. But the idea that these scalpers are now stuck with these consoles and can't charge the ridiculous markup is hilarious. And I love it, especially they overestimated, right? Because it doesn't seem like a super necessary upgrade to me because, I grew up playing, NES, Sega, Super Nintendo, N64. Graphics, huge graphical improvements are not a big deal for me. I don't play games for their graphics. The gameplay has to make sense, and the game has to be fun. What it looks like doesn't matter that much to me. It really doesn't. So I'm not the target for these guys, which is fine because I also don't have $700 to drop at the moment. But nor would I have time to play a PS5. If I'm getting any new console, it'd be a Steam Deck so I can play games I already have on the go. So there you go. So if you want to get me a Steam Deck, that'd be great. I just it's so funny because these scalpers, you see the new console come out and you're like, oh, cool, $700. Whoa. And then you scour eBay or you just log into eBay, go, wow, PS5 Pro available on this guy's site for $1,200. Why would you do that? I can just go to Walmart or wherever. And it's very funny. It couldn't happen to nicer people. It's very funny that scalpers are now stuck with these consoles that they bought to sell at a higher price, and now they can't do that. It's very funny. Don't be scumbags. How about that? Let people play games and enjoy them. God damn it. All right, we're going to put these together, actually, because that's all we got for the scalpers. Yeah, so the PS5 Pro is still in stores, and so the scalpers who bought a bunch of them are stuck with them because they can't sell them for $1,000 or more because the demand isn't there because it's still in the store. So if you're going to buy it, you just go to the store and get a warranty or whatever, and again, hope it doesn't have bed bugs. It's very funny, and again, could not happen to nicer people. Scalpers are scumbags. There you go. All right. Here's a better one. There's a new N64 console coming out, a 4K version coming in 2025. It will cost $249. It is from Analog UK, I think, is the company name. It is compatible with all original controllers and cartridges, and it is also region-free. So if you have some international cartridges, I guess they would work on this, and US ones would work and all that. So that's good. I did see there is a wireless controller that you can get for $40, which is cool. I think wireless controllers, I prefer wired controllers because connectivity issues. I've had them with wireless controllers, and so I prefer to be hardwired in. But if wireless controllers are your thing, then you can get one for $40. And if you still have your if you still have your N64 games and stuff, you don't have to buy those new. You don't have to buy new games because they're already there. Here's my question though. If it plays the original cartridges, it means the games aren't updated to run in 4K. And so you're playing 30-year-old software on current hardware. And I just wonder how that's going to look in, like, how is whatever the frame rates or the quality was for N64, how is that going to look in 4K? I'm curious about that. So I do want to see like a side-by-side when we can get that comparison. But I still have my N64. And it looks like this one connects via HDMI, by the way. So you should be good on your fancy modern TV. But I still have my N64. And I have the cables and whatnot. It still runs just fine. So it's pretty cool. I like it. But if you don't have an N64 anymore, if it didn't work or you got rid of it or it broke or whatever, then and you're really itching to play again, you kept your games or something like that, then this could be for you. And $249 for a console, that's pretty good, especially if you don't also have to buy games and stuff. Like if you still have all your stuff, then you don't have to buy those new or find those used or whatever. I wonder if anybody's going to try to upgrade the N64 games to 4K. I wonder how that's possible. I don't know how any of that works, to be honest with you. I am curious to see how it looks, how a 30-year-old cartridge looks in 4K. But I think this is a good thing. I think it's cool because a lot of people know, nostalgia's big, right? And somebody might not have their N64 anymore. Like, oh, hey, can I get this? Great. Awesome. And, go for it. Maybe get a wireless controller, have some fun, and enjoy yourself. Couch Party's coming back in 2025. I'm in. Come on over. How's that? Come on over. Let's have some fun. I still have the OG. So if you want to bring your fancy one and see what it looks like, I don't have a 4K TV, so I guess it wouldn't matter. But, could this even play on a non-4K TV? That's my question, too. Because I don't have a 4K TV. I don't really care that much. I wonder, though, if that is a thing. If it would play on like a regular, not 4K TV. That's my question. So somebody figure this out for me. I'm still not going to buy it because I have my original, maybe not my original, but I have one. I have an N64 already. But something to think about if you're going to buy this is, will it actually run on your TV? So look into that. I don't know enough about it to tell you. I'm sorry. But hey, if you want to get an N64 and you want to bring the couch parties back next year, let's go. I'm in. I'll come over. I got my own controller and I got some games we can bring. We can have some fun. All right? Sound good? Great. Come on over. Break time. Let's do that. We'll hear from the captain, and then we'll read some mail, and that will be that for the show. All right? All right. We'll be right back. Okay, before we get to the captain, I forgot this. We have the captain, I hope, and then our fan mail, which we're going to get to. But Mike Tyson, Jake Paul was Friday, so I did watch it, even though I don't watch a ton of boxing. I watched boxing at the Olympics, so a handful of fights every 4 years. So yeah, my knowledge comes from that and playing Fight Night Round 2 on PS2. So I say that to let you know I'm not into the world of boxing. But I was like, oh, let's try this out. And I knew, I've watched enough wrestling to know when it's a gimmick. And so hey, Mike Tyson, 58, Jake Paul, kind of a boxer. They're going to do a thing, big spectacle, right? So I was not surprised by the main event result. I was disappointed in the first fight because I don't know these people's names. I'm sorry. I don't know everyone's name. First fight sucked. Seemed like one of the guy with a bunch of tattoos. I don't know. He annoyed me. The second fight was good. Whoever those people were, I think it was a title fight. And then the third fight, the women's fight, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, that was fantastic. They went to war. That was great. I loved it. I think the judges got it wrong. They went to a decision. I think the judges got that wrong, by the way. I think Amanda Serrano won, if my opinion means anything in this matter. But, the whole thing felt like a WWE show. And I wasn't, like I said, my boxing knowledge is from Fight Night Round 2 and the Olympics. And so the Olympics, everything's on a very rigid schedule because they have 75 more events to do in that building in 3 days, right? So I was not ready for so much pageantry, I guess. I guess maybe that's it. But I enjoyed it overall. The buffering, the live streaming issues with Netflix, that sucked. That wasn't fun. So good luck, NFL and Monday Night Raw with the streaming and whatnot. Because man, you'd think a $1 billion corporation would figure that out. But Yeah, they didn't. They, at least not for this event. It was brutal. But then we saw Mike Tyson's butt cheeks. So I think that that was hilarious. And also, one of the funniest things was Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield were on like the pre-show panel, and they were talking to whoever the hosts were. And the first funny thing was Evander Holyfield's earpiece didn't work, so he couldn't hear what everybody was saying, which is just like, you bring Evander Holyfield, who, if you're too young, Mike Tyson bit his ear in a fight in 1996 or 8. And so bringing him on to talk about Mike Tyson, and then his earpiece not working, is hilarious. And then Lennox Lewis with the ultimate troll job. The hosts were like, hey, Lennox, can you ask him, what he thinks about the fight or what he thinks of Tyson or whatever? And Lennox goes, hey, Evander, man, they want to know if you think Tyson's going to bite somebody's ear. Bro. They were like, no, the ultimate. Evander's like, nah, man, I don't think so. Like, he was in on it. He got it. But yeah, it was something, man. The whole event. Again, I'm more used to a rigid boxing schedule and a more, I don't want to say boring's not the right word, but a more like straightforward event when I watch boxing. Because again, Olympics. So then, yeah, main event was, here's what I'll say. Tyson looked good for 2 rounds. Maybe like into the 3rd round, he still looked pretty good. And then he didn't. And then it was like, oh, yeah, he's 58 and he hasn't. I'm not saying people who are in their 50s can't go box, but I'm saying if you're 58 and you need blood transfusions months earlier and, you almost died and you haven't competed in a very long time, then, yeah, that's kind of going to happen. The ring rust, as they say, or things are going to catch up with you, right? Father Time remains undefeated, right? But also, I don't know a ton about Jake Paul, and I don't really want to know. I've seen a couple of his fights, and one thing that I noticed is that I think like an active current boxer who isn't being paid for this gimmick fight, it would be able to take advantage of, is the guy keeps his hands low. And I'm like, man, and there was a moment in the 2nd round where Tyson, he got him on the jaw, and it looked like he could have just boom, 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 and at least knocked him down. And I was like, man, that would have been, if this was a real thing, that would have been, he would have at least been knocked down. Everybody would be like, whoa, is Tyson back? And then, he wasn't. So I think if Jake Paul faces a real boxer using those same techniques, and maybe I'm just conflating two things. Maybe he doesn't always have that stance in other fights, but for this fight, he definitely had his hands low the whole time, which, I don't know. In all the boxing that I've watched, I would not recommend it. But listen, the streaming sucked. The quality was terrible. I think a lot of people got worked by the result. They got caught up in the gimmick and thought we were going to see the Tyson of old, which just was never going to happen, at least not against Jake Paul. If you put Mike Tyson up against, if the billing is Mike Tyson returns to the ring and he's facing some amateur boxer, then you probably see Mike Tyson knocking somebody down, knocking somebody, maybe not out, but taking him down in 4 or 5 rounds. Maybe you see that. But the gimmick was Jake Paul is the name, Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson, right? But Jake Paul is the current name, so he's not going over. As they say in wrestling, he's not going over. It's not going to happen. But I think, a lot of people got worked on the result of the main event, and I'm glad I didn't pay for that. Because, the whole thing. Because it would have been, a really disappointing first fight, really good second fight, great third fight, and then the 4th fight was pretty much what I thought. If it had gone 6 rounds instead of 8, it would have been better. Because then it's only a round and a half of Tyson looking worn and Jake Paul kind of just messing around rather than the extra 2 rounds. So that would be my my biggest complaint, I think, would be it should have been 6 rounds. No, of course we don't know that Tyson's going to just be gassed after 3, but I don't know. Maybe we could have thought about that a little longer and figured it out. But overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole thing. I had fun watching it. It was nice to hear Mauro Ranallo. He was in WWE for a while, so it was good to hear a familiar voice. So that was fun. And Josh and I, my buddy Josh and I were texting, and we were having a good time with it. So, yeah, I don't watch a ton of boxing, like I said, and I wouldn't pay $60 for a card. But if something like this comes up again, if some other, legend of boxing comes back and wants to fight someone else, I'd probably watch that too. Because then the undercard, and there were things on YouTube earlier, which I didn't watch. But I watched the Big Show on the Netflix, and maybe put it somewhere else, maybe Amazon, and we can watch that. So who knows? Who are other legendary boxers you would like to see come out of retirement and face a YouTube star? Let me know, and then we'll talk to Amazon about getting that put together, because that'll be, or maybe like bring Mike to have like a double main event. Mike Tyson faces some amateur guy and wins, and then the legendary boxer, goes 6 rounds with whoever, and they lose by decision. So there you go, and people still get worked up by the result. So there you go. That's my quick recap of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I knew what it was going in. I've watched enough wrestling to know when I'm watching a gimmick. And Jake Paul won by decision. I think if they cut off 2 rounds from the fight, I think a lot more people would be less upset about how it went. Because like those last 2 rounds was like, oh my gosh, oh boy, really? Because you could tell where it was going to go, like halfway through, less than halfway through, and you're like, oh boy. So yeah. Anyway, but hey, they both got paid a lot of money. Good for them. And look, if Tyson does another fight with somebody, I'll watch it. That's just like, people say, oh, well, he's not going to be a draw. He would be a draw for me, at least. And I know other people who would watch just because it's Mike Tyson, because they don't watch boxing, but it's like WrestleMania, right? Like, oh, I don't watch wrestling, but The Rock's there. Oh, let's turn it on, right? Something like that. The star can still be the draw, no matter how meh their performance might be. But yeah, if Tyson does another fight, maybe do it on Amazon against, an amateur boxer, have a real, maybe 6 rounds, 6-round fight, and then that's a little more palatable. How's that? Is that the right word to use? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Jake Tyson. I did it again. Christ. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. There, quick recap for you. Wanted to get that in because it was something I watched, and I wanted to put it together with the sports stuff. So there we go. Not breaking up the track, but we will turn it over to the captain to tell us what's going on with the Flyers. Good sir. If you're there, great. If not, that's fine too, but we'll cross our fingers and toes and say the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hey, Flyers fans. Mark back at you again with another Flyers update. Yeah! Woo! Guys, man, these Flyers, they can be a little up and down. But you know what? That's the theme. I've been saying this year and last year and the year before. This team's young. They are still developing, but we will continue on this road with them together. So let's take a look at what happened last week. So last Thursday, the Flyers ended up winning 5-4 in overtime in Ottawa. What a game. The Flyers really made things happen. Michkov with the snipe, just finishing it off in overtime. What a beauty it was. Then the Flyers followed that up at home with a win, 5-2 on Saturday against Buffalo. However, after that, not so great. So the first game was great of the homestand, but the last 2 were not too great. So on Monday, they ended up losing 3-2 versus Colorado. The game seems closer by that score than it was, but the Flyers mounted, a really heroic type of comeback at the end there. They just weren't able to make it happen against a very good Avalanche team. Then on Wednesday, losing 4-1 versus Carolina. So the Flyers ended up going down 1-0 within the first 30 seconds of that game, and it just did not get better after that. Carolina just opened up in that third period, scoring 3 goals and really burying the Flyers. So they're a great team in Carolina. The Flyers, you have to play good teams to get better. So hopefully these early tests will pay dividends later on in the season. So looking ahead, the Flyers are going to take on Chicago at home on Saturday. Monday, taking on the Golden Knights of Vegas. And then they're on the road on Wednesday in Nashville. So again, like I said, the Flyers, they're building, they're trying to get better, as I say week in and week out. So don't be dissuaded, don't be fearful, don't lose hope. This is the time of Thanksgiving. We are being thankful for what we have. These young kids, Danny B, Jonesy, my goodness, I should say, Mr. Briere, gotta make sure I'm keeping it classy here for our people. But the Flyers, they're getting it done. They're trying to get better each and every day. So guys, hang in there with me. I know you're staying glued to your TV as I am. So let's see these Flyers continue to push forward this season. So guys, that's it for me here inside the Melting Pat on Next Level Radio.
And there you have it. Thank you, my friend, the Melting Pat, the Next Level Network, just in case he was too busy. And that's all right. He's got kids and stuff. He's got things to do. He can't work for free all the time for me. So there we go. Thank you, my friend. And let us know if we can get Mike Tyson to box an amateur guy on Prime, so we can actually all watch it in real time together and not have to worry about buffering and getting kicked out of the app. How's that? Take that, Netflix. I don't know. Good luck, NFL. Good luck, Monday Night Raw. Because, yikes. Maybe no more. Do we need more butt cheeks or fewer butt cheeks to be shown on the streams? What do you think? Let me know. 1 in chat if you need more of Mike Tyson's butt cheeks. 2 in chat if you need someone else's butt cheeks. 3 in chat if I should take a break and get to the mail. All right, all right, we got a couple ones. That's a 3. Let's go. We'll take a break, and we got some fan mail. We'll read it and talk all about it right after this. And we're back. One more thing for you today, and this comes to us from a listener named Sam. Thank you, Sam. Pat, please read this at the end of the show so that no one has to skip any other topics to get to it. All right, or to get away from it. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. That's someone who listens to the show because not everybody wants to hear serious stuff. I did read a little bit of this. And so not everyone wants to hear serious stuff, and that's good that a listener understands that. Thank you. So, Pat, you've talked about how collectively dumb we are as a society. Why do you think we got here? How do you think we made it to this point? Thanks. Love the show. And again, please read this at the end. Thanks, Sam. Will do. Already doing it. Thank you, buddy. Do you like being called buddy? Is that okay? Let me know. All right. So 3 reasons for this, I think. At least 3 that I can get into today. And the third one may surprise you. Yeah, I'm clickbait now, I guess. So there we go. The first one, this was initially 2. And then I thought, no, we got to go back a little further to get to the root of it. 24-hour news networks. That has been, I've talked about this on the show. I wrote a bunch of papers about this in college too, about how dangerous is maybe too strong, but how damaging this could be. And it turns out that me and many others who held this belief were correct. Because what cable news channels have done, and what they continue to do, is they're not showing news. They are. They're telling you what's happening. But then it's hours and hours of people just talking about what's going on. And so they've lost the dissecting the story. They've lost reporting the story. And now it's opinions on the stories. And oh, how did this happen? This person did this. This person did that. And then it devolves into mudslinging and nonsense. And it's not good. It's not good. Look, the idea of getting news somewhere 24 hours a day was going to happen no matter what, especially now with social media, and we can all look up things in the click of a thumb swipe or whatever, right? I'm not naive. It was going to happen. But you have to understand that the news networks, I use news in quotes, these cable channels have shareholders and sponsors and donors and whoever to adhere to. And so what the people on there are doing, the talking heads, the Sean Hannitys, the Rachel Maddows, the whoever's, what they're doing is they are giving you the slant of the story that those shareholders want the viewers to see. So sure, they're telling you what's happening. But then they're like, oh, well, how does that relate to this? What about this? What is this person doing? Is this person doing this? Then it's a whole list of stuff, and they bring all a bunch of people in suits and too much makeup to talk about it for 6 hours, and then they take a break and talk about something else, and then 7 more hours of the other thing. And so you have to understand that you're not getting just the story like we did 30 years ago when we would watch, Walter Cronkite. I'm saying too many names at once. Walter Cronkite, Peter Jennings, and now David Muir, who does ABC World News Tonight, right? So you're not getting just the stories in a half hour and then being allowed to, you're allowed to form your opinions on cable news, but they're kind of feeding you other stuff. But you're not getting the story and then being allowed to form your own opinions based on that information. They're not just giving you the information. They're giving you views from whichever side of the aisle their money comes from, right? And so, yeah, that's not good. And so that started a whole thing. If that didn't start the divide, I'm sure it didn't. It made it worse because it's like, oh, my news channel says this. My news channel says this. Oh, well, yours must be wrong. You're an idiot. And then it's a whole thing, right? And now that's all public on Facebook and Instagram and wherever, mostly Facebook. I guess Twitter too, but I'm not on there anymore. But Yeah, and so cable news really kind of started the decline that we're on, because it's just a whole, like, it ceased being news, and it's more of an, like, didn't Fox News have to pay $700 some million for lying? And they're like, oh, we're actually an entertainment network. And then they're still peddling things like their news. So that's an issue. That's the first thing. The second thing, and this is probably going to make some people upset, but that's fine. A plane is going by overhead. That's fun. The second thing, I waited for the plane to go by, and then I think another one came by. Anyway, the second thing might ruffle some feathers. People might get upset about this, might get mad, but No Child Left Behind was a mistake. Huge mistake. Because some of y'all needed to be left behind. Look, I'm sorry that I'm the one who has to tell you this. I'm not, because you're dumb. But some of you needed to be left behind. Some of you needed, and I don't mean to say that. Actually, I do mean to say it is because you're dumb. But some of you needed, all right, even though I've already taken a stance, let's try to soften that a little bit. Some of you needed some extra help and did not receive it because the school system and whoever signed the thing said, nope, we got to push them through. Make the school look good, make everybody look good, test scores, whatever, right? Shove them through. And some people just needed extra help and needed to go back and relearn and reinforce things, right? But it didn't happen because, nope, No Child Left Behind. We can't do that. Just shove them out there. Good luck. And then what? We're left with people who lap up the nonsense from cable news and then share those dumb opinions on their Facebook pages and create, I don't want to say create a persona, but then that's their whole thing of like, here's all this stuff that I learned. Whether or not it's correct doesn't matter. And they don't know it's not correct. They just think it's right because they've been taught it by their mom or their cousin or whoever between the ages of 17 and 19, and they never learned anything new. Maybe like 16 and 18, and they never learned anything new. And so those views that they are stuck in and have been stuck in for 20, 30, 40 years, that's it. And that's an issue. That's the other thing, is people flat out refusing to learn new information when challenged, right? So like I said last week, when people have been coming into my inbox for days about the president being responsible for, Medicaid and food stamp cuts, and the vice president, they should have passed more legislation, right? And when you say, no, that's actually not a thing the vice president can do, and, the federal funding doesn't come from the president, it comes from Congress, and then those benefits are determined, their eligibility is determined at the state level. I would know this because I'm, by comparison, an expert. When you present the information, it's like, oh, no, that's just because you voted for the other side, right? You just voted for the other guy. So obviously you're going to say that's wrong. No, I'm saying this because it's correct. And what you're saying is incorrect. And this idea that whatever we learned in high school when we were pushed through because no child could be left behind, or whatever we learned from wherever, or whomever, in our small town, or even in our, not even small town, I don't want to make that generalization. Whatever you learned from the neighborhood guy, whatever his name is, who lived in the same spot for 50 years, and his opinions are based in that reality, his seemingly small-minded worldview, and you learned that from him, and never went anywhere else, and never learned, never really bothered to learn that other things might be, like some things he says might not be true, and other things might be true instead. And people never learned that could be a thing. They never learned that the opinions and the views that they've held since they were teenagers from their mom's house and from wherever they were, right, from guys in the neighborhood, whoever they might be, they never really considered that what these people think is not true. And what these people think is not actually how things work. And so the idea that people just stop learning when they turn 17 or 18 has also not helped. So a little bit of a bonus one there. But the last thing is, I think Elon Musk buying Twitter did a lot more damage than anyone wants to talk about. And I saw a video of like, and I'm not going to dive into the conspiracy that no matter how much truth there could be in it, that's not why I'm here, about how he kind of bought himself a seat at the table and kind of bought Trump the election. I'm not going to do that. I don't know how much truth there is. The video that I saw was convincing, but I'm not ready to say, yes, this exactly happened. But I could believe it based on things that I've read. I'm not going to buy into it totally, but I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm also not going to talk all about it. We can do that later. Not why I'm here. Sorry, Sam. If that's where you wanted me to go, I'm sorry. But I think, him buying Twitter did more damage than I think we're ready to talk about, or did more damage than we're willing to really consider. Certainly than I was really willing to consider before I saw this question, because it used to be on Twitter that you could share news updates in real time, and if you had a blue check mark, it meant you were somebody. You were a journalist or a doctor or someone somewhere who had expertise in a field, right? And so you see the blue check mark and you go, okay, this is a person whose opinion I can trust on this matter. Okay, great, thanks. But then Elon bought it, and that went away. The verification badges went away, and then anybody who wanted to pay him $8 to $12 a month could get verified. And there's still a little glimmer, like when you see someone post like, oh man, the earth is flat and the president is keeping it a secret and the president is doing all these dastardly things or whatever the case might be. And you see somebody with a blue check mark and a bunch of followers share that information, and you go, wow, okay, maybe that person is, and then you look at it a little more closely, and you're like, oh, no, this person's a moron who just paid $8 a month to get a badge. But there's still that little glimmer of like, this person could know what they're talking about because the blue check for so many years meant so much on this platform, and now it doesn't. And that's dangerous for spreading misinformation. That's not a good thing. So now, with the rise of this, and I think this has exacerbated the problem of people thinking their opinions based on things they've read from other dumb people. They think those opinions are now on the same level as an expert. So when you say things like, oh, I think the earth is flat, well, all right, how about you talk to a scientist who knows what's going on? Or, oh, I think climate change is ridiculous. All right, how about you talk to a scientist who knows what's going on? Or like, oh, I think the vice president could have done more to help and pass her campaign promises. No, that's not a thing. Please learn social studies from 3rd grade. Or, the president said, the president cut our benefits, is cutting, Medicaid and food stamps and things like that. No, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. President has nothing to do with that. How do I know? Because compared to you in this subject, I'm an expert. So it's just the idea that people stop learning when they turn 18. And whatever views they had based on whatever misinformation they were fed, they just keep those forever and never broaden their horizons and never go, hey, maybe this is different. And so that's an issue. And so you see this stuff on Twitter and you see, oh, this person's got a blue check. They must know what they're talking about. And then, oh, this person is on cable news. They must know what they're talking about. And so all that does, like I've said many, many times on this show, we have so much access to information, and we really only use it to confirm our confirmation biases. We only use it to confirm what we already believe. Oh, well, this person's on the news, and they said it, so that means what I believe must be true and must be okay. It must be correct, must be fine to keep believing this. Because the person on the news said it, and if they're on the news, they must be smart, they must know what's going on. And it's so frustrating. Because when you hear things like this, like, oh, the president denied my benefits. Okay, I've won an award in this field. So again, by comparison, I am an expert. Actually, not even by comparison. I won an award. It means I know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I'm the expert in this. And I don't like to say that. I don't like to, mom told me not to brag, but I have a plaque with my name on it right here in my office from the secretary of the agency telling me that I was excellent at my job, meaning I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm talking about. And so when I see people spout off this just total nonsense about all these things, it's so frustrating because no, that's not true. I have earned the right to spout off about this, and I'm not spouting, I'm educating. I've earned that right. You, who listened to a talking head or read a Facebook post from your dumbass uncle or whoever, you did not. I earned the right to say, hey, that's not true. And I know this because I've been doing it for a decade, and I won an award. I'm an award winner in this subject. You are not. And the idea that your opinion means as much as mine in certain regards in this field, or that our opinions on the climate or the economy mean as much as a scientist or an economist or, people who have earned their stripes in this, who have studied this, who have been paid to figure out this information, who have learned this over many years. The fact that people think that their opinions, when they have not had that experience and had that, they haven't learned all that. And these people have. And the fact that you think your opinion matches with what they're saying is simply not true. It's arrogant at best and dangerous at worst. So cable news started this. And then No Child Left Behind meant that all these dumb people would be able to just be out in the world spouting their nonsense, unchecked, really. And then social media comes along, and then it's like, hey, I can spout my opinions. And, my friends would be like, yeah, great, because they don't know any better either. And then Elon Musk buys Twitter, and that becomes worse because you're amplifying. I'm not even talking about the amplifying the racism and all that other nonsense, or that the app literally doesn't function day to day. I'm just talking about amplifying just straight up nonsense. And people who see that, see the people with the blue check marks and go, oh, this person must know what they're talking about. No, they paid Twitter $8. That's why. That's why you're like, that amplifies the post in the feed, and it makes you think, oh, this person must know what they're talking about because they got that blue check. No, they had an extra $8 that they were willing to spend on Twitter. That's all. That's all. Or someone did. Someone gave them $8. I don't know. That's all. That's what that means. So it's not, again, I'm not saying Elon Musk buying Twitter started it, obviously. But he certainly didn't help. And I think a combination of the rise of cable news, 24-hour news, the rise of, or not the rise, the passing of No Child Left Behind. And Elon buying Twitter didn't help. But also people online who think they know as much as experts is why we're here. That's why we're here. People who think that just because they can go online on their phone and they can post whatever they want and go into somebody's inbox and in somebody's comments and spout off nonsense, they think that means they know because they learned it from someone 20 years ago, 30 years ago, so it must still be true. No, it's not how it works. It's not how the world works. Things evolve all the time. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to talk about evolution. Sorry. I think the bigger issue, all those things are still like Elon buying Twitter, cable news, and No Child Left Behind. Those are all bad, Sam. I almost forgot I was doing this for a listener. Those things are all bad. But I think maybe the overarching component here is we have a very high number of people who refuse to learn and refuse to back down when challenged with actual fact. They refuse to stop believing nonsense because it's what they were taught by someone they trust. And they refuse to accept that what they were taught 20, 30, 40 years ago in school or by the neighbor or by whoever, they refuse to accept that might be wrong. And that is another big reason as to why we're here. Because people are stubborn, which by itself is not terrible, but in this case, you're refusing to learn new information and accept that anything other than your limited worldview could be correct. And that is why we're here. And I don't mean to be gloom and doom, but the way we're going, I don't see a way out unless people really start reading and learning new information and opening their minds to accept new information. We all need to do it. I need to do it. We all have to do it. We all have to realize that, again, we have the most access to information that we've ever had in human history, and we need to start taking advantage of it. Read some books, read some stuff from people in the fields, read some stuff from scientists and economists and people who have done the work and have earned the reputation to be able to say, hey, no, what you think is actually not true. This is how it goes. And we all have to learn to accept it like, hey, maybe this person could be correct. And maybe my uncle, cousin, friend, neighbor, whoever, maybe they were actually misinformed. But until we do that, we're stuck in this. And that's why we're here. So, yeah, that's it. Cable news. What's the other thing? Cable news, Elon Musk, No Child Left Behind, and refusal to learn things. There we go. That was a long segment. I know. I tried. When I started, I'm like, oh, let's go like 10 minutes. I think I just went 20. So, hope I answered your question, Sam. There you go. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? TheMeltingPat.com for more ways to get in touch with me. Let me know. I'll read your question. I'll do a whole episode on whatever you want. Maybe. Pay me $10 and I'll do that. But that's it. That is all for the show. Thank you very much. Thanks to... I almost forgot whose song we played today. Thanks to Crimmins for the tune. Crimmins Music, CRIMMINS Music on social media. Go get his stuff. Go tell him I said hello. Thanks to Sam for the question. Thanks to that 1-star review. You don't know me, and I don't know you, but thank you for sharing that 1-star review so I could read it and make fun of things on the show and have some fun. There we go. All right, so we're good, right? We're good? Okay, program note. Next week, the show is out on Thursday on Thanksgiving, so we'll have no show next Saturday, but we will have a show on Thanksgiving. It'll be out midnight Thursday in your feeds, and we'll have new music from new friends. And then, no show next Saturday, so then we will be back in, I guess, December, whatever date that would be. So, program note, don't be alarmed when it pops up on Thanksgiving. That's on purpose. That's my 10th Thanksgiving show, by the way, Thanksgiving podcast. I'm very excited. I don't know what's going to be on it. We'll find out together. There you go. But that's it for today. My thanks to the captain as well. Did we thank him already? Thank him again. Thanks, Captain. Even if you weren't there, it's the thought that counts. All right? This has been an 8 Boiling production. So until next time, my friends, have fun. Be safe. Thank a veteran. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Get vaccinated and boosted when you can. Tip your wait staff. And, of course, don't do anything I wouldn't do. That is all, right? TheMeltingPat.com for more from me. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll do my music, not G-Love, because we've been here long enough. All right? All right, break. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon. I love you. You've been inside the Melting Pat on the Next Level Network. Go crap open a cold one.